Hello everyone, welcome to CryptoPi. In today's video, we are going to talk about Bitcoin's future in the midterm year 2026. If you like the analysis, then do hit the subscribe button and show some support to the channel. All right, what do we have here? It's the Bitcoin chart in its dollar evaluation, and the green dashed line is 200-week moving average. What I have here is the trend indicator, where you can select various moving averages at different time frames. So what is happening? We saw a short rally on the daily time frame yesterday, and as usual, the euphoria was back that now Bitcoin will reverse and start going back to its bull run of super cycle. Well, what did we discuss in October or since October? Or actually, even before October, we have been talking about two important timelines. The first is the distribution line, and the second is accumulation lines. Distribution lines are the ones which tell us as soon as Bitcoin's price crosses the distribution line, it has been guaranteed bear market in the past years. What accumulation line tells us, as soon as the Bitcoin price crosses the accumulation line, we are done with the bear market, but not the bottom of the cycle. But anytime in the nearby future, after the price has crossed the accumulation line, the bottom will occur and Bitcoin will start its new cycle. We have seen this in the year 2014, we saw it in 2017, 2021, and based on this pattern, we said the 4-year cycle still has the upper hand over the super cycle. I'm not sure how the narrative of super cycle came into picture. Some people say that it is because so many companies are getting involved in the crypto world, buying Bitcoin or buying ETFs or whatnot. But just because a company buys Bitcoin or there are ETFs does not mean that there will be a super cycle. There is no basis to that. At least there is no indication about it in the price action chart. You might see on-chain action, on-chain indicators might go crazy about inflows of money, outflows of money, and whatnot. But what really matters at the end of the day is the open of Bitcoin price, the close of Bitcoin price. That's it. If you want to go a little bit further, you can say high and low of the price as well. The high price and low price of Bitcoin on a daily time frame or a weekly time frame. So this was our analysis since September, October. We also discussed the exact date, 22nd October. I think in one video I mentioned 22nd October, in the other one, based on how we look at the week, it was 23rd October. And we said that after the price is crossed, if the Bitcoin has already seen the cycle top, that would be the top. Price will not go back up, not anytime soon. We have already covered approximately, let's see, how many days since the price crossed the distribution line. 105 days. And how many days more left before it crosses the accumulation line? 231 days. That's not a lot. This particular accumulation line would basically tell us that the Bitcoin price is very close to the bottom. Now, one might think that why are we not considering 200-week moving average, which has been very often talked about as a very strong support, which is true. However, it has been true only in the first 2 cycles. And over here in 2015, it bounced a couple of times and it made a new bull run. In 2018, it did the same. In Corona crash, it did go below. So the close was below 200-week moving average. However, the whole candle was still above. Or you would say that candle open was above and Only the close was below and it bounced back the week after. So it did not really cross with confirmation. What happened in 2022? Already in June, we had the first close. Candles started, the whole candles, high, low, open and close. We had the complete candle under 200-week moving average. We did see a short rally up, but afterwards, we have seen a long duration of price action just under 200-week moving average. So why, and even after the bull run began, we saw almost 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2 months, bit more than 2 months of price action under 200-week moving average. So why would one think that after Bitcoin drops another, let's say 22%, it will just bounce back just like that and go for super cycle? There is no clear explanation. It could have a bounce back, that's for sure, because we do have quite some support and resistance level, if you want to say so. There are different theories which would mark, all right, there was a lot of price action here, you might find a bounce back, a relief rally. The other way of looking at it is, all right, we had this bearish order block. Usually order blocks are mitigated, so price will come down and then mitigate back up to 90. That's one way of looking at it. But other than that, just because some random person who has a couple of 100,000 followers says that we are in a super cycle without backing with technical analysis, it makes no sense to believe why that argument holds true. It could hold true. I'm not saying it cannot be, it's market, anything can happen here. But without any backing of technical analysis, it sounds to me just throwing out some numbers and hoping that one of the number might be true. We have 2 more indicators here, which tell us, actually 3 more. The third one, we already discussed it, it's a midterm year. All this period between the distribution line and the accumulation line, in all these 3 ones are midterm years. And we can see that midterm years in past has never been a bull market year. Once the midterm year ends, or it's Q3 of midterm year or December, that's when we start seeing some form of bottoming of Bitcoin's price. The 2 other indicators which I want to talk about is Indian oscillator and the trending RSI. This one is a custom indicator, but it basically takes into account the strength of the relative strength index and having moving average and looking at its strength going upwards and strength going downwards. We see in the Indian oscillator, whenever it was a midterm year, the bearish component, which is the red line, has crossed above the bullish component, which confirmed the price action going down, or the strength in the market weakening, or bearish strength increasing. Over here, we have the same scenario, bearish component crossing above the bullish component. Now look what is happening right now. We have bearish component crossing over the bullish component, very close to the distribution line. And the difference between the bearish component and the bullish component today is huge. Bullish component for today is 0, and bearish component is 17,593. That is a huge difference. Perhaps we might see bullish component gaining some strength when the price really hits 200-week moving average or reaches to one of the support levels. But up until then, it could be a very difficult time for bullish component to really gain some strength. The other indicator is the strength index. We see over here, strength of market has been weakening since April 2024, when this was the Euphoria phase. We had another Euphoria in January 2025, and some sense there was a Euphoria here at 123, but at every Euphoria, on social media, the strength of market has been going down. The price action goes up, and that is where we see the divergence. Usually, this kind of divergence is called a bearish divergence. And when bearish divergence happens very close to the distribution line and the midterm year, the probability of market going in a bull trend is very low. Now we are under the mid-level. In previous cycles, all the previous cycles, the relative strength index going under mid-level has been marked as the bearish trend. Plus, the market does not recover up until the next cycle begins. That is when accumulation period starts or the price crosses the accumulation line. Bitcoin market is pretty simple to navigate if you simply follow what has been happening in the past years. There were also narrative about ETFs, about companies, about countries buying Bitcoin, holding them. In every cycle, there was always some other narrative. Just look up the news. You might find some other narrative, random thing here that, all right, banks are adopting, banks are offering it to their clients, and so on. And this kind of narrative always happen when the price is in the parabolic phase or nearing to its top of the cycle, or closing very close, or being very close to the distribution line. There is one more signal which I want to show you is the liquidation levels. Here it says we have liquidation, short liquidations at 78, and at 79, the big ones. Over here at 77 and 79. That shows us there is a very good possibility that everyone right now thinks that Bitcoin will crash. But before it starts going down, it might just make a short bump to 80 or maybe 85 and then continue its downtrend. I think it's good to analyze Bitcoin's chart from a higher time frame rather than looking at day time frame and not breaking the chart into different sections of the years. This would be my analysis for what is happening to Bitcoin and what might happen to Bitcoin's price action in the year 2026. If you like the content, then do hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.